Okay, I had a request on what kind of hook I use to catch big blues on and how I set it up. So I'm going to start making videos on how I do everything when I go out catfishing. I've learned so many different techniques over the years that do work well all the way around. But we're going to start with the simple stuff and work our way up to everything as time goes by. This is the hook I use. This is a circle hook, 10-aught circle hook. And as you can see, let me put my hand up here. You see how it's offset? Yeah, there you can see it. Okay? And it's offset for a reason. When the fish grab the bait, and it's important that you tie it on right, this thing will roll and it catches as it's being pulled out of their stomach or out of their mouth. This thing rolls and it catches the fish on the lip. Much more humane to use a circle hook than a J hook. A J hook, 90% of the time when they swallow it and you set that hook, it's in their belly and it kills a lot of fish. That's why I went to a circle hook. I was told they were a lot more humane. I've tried them. I actually catch more fish, I think, with a circle hook versus a J hook. But anyway, string. How do you string this hook up? When a fish bites and when they run with it, the way I'm going to show you how to tie it. The way I tie it, when they pull down on it, the string goes through the top of that hook. You see that hook beveled? It's on an angle. You want to run your string down through the hole and then tie it around your shank. And why I do that, when they bite down on it, the string coming out through here, when they pull on it, this pushes down on the back of that and it rolls that hook. Helps it to hook them. And this is how I do it. Okay, I'm going to go down through the hole. Nope, down through the hole. And then I'm going to put a big loop in it. This is the first time I'm doing this on video, so if I screw it up, we'll try again. And then wrap it anywhere from 8 to 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm going to go 10. 10. And then that piece there that I've been holding in my finger, you see that right there? I'm going to put this string through that loop, and I'm just going to pinch it with my other finger and then start pulling it tight. See how it's pulling it down? And then pull it tight. Now, let's see. Can you see that? How it's going through the eyelet? So when they bite down on this and you pull back, or when they pull away, it's going to roll that hook. And it's that rolling action 99%, I'm going to say 99% of the time, but 90% of the time you're going to catch them by the lip by doing that. And it's usually a really good hookup. Give it a shot. Let me know what you think. I appreciate your time. The other thing I wanted to say real quick about these circle hooks is the point. This point, after you get using it a couple of times, and if you're dragging or getting snagged up on stuff, that point starts to round off. This one here is fairly sharp. You can see how it digs into my nail. That's because I sharpened this one not too long ago. I carry a small file on my boat. And when the fish aren't biting, what I'll do is I'll go through every one of my rods that I got on board, and as I'm checking my baits, and I will put a point back on them. And all you got to do is just rough it up a little bit. Go around with that file. Just a little bit, not much. But you want to put a point on that. And then if it sinks into your nail a little bit, that's the way you want it. Because if it's rounded and not pointy, that could cost you a couple of fish. Keep that in mind. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about our rig setups to catch blue catfish. There's a couple different techniques that I use over the years that I found that depending on what style waterway I'm in is the direction I decide what kind of rig I'm going to use. I fish a lot in the Ohio River. Most of the time, early spring and stuff, the water's rough. I like to use two primary setups. One is drifting, where I use a slip sinker setup. That's what we're going to talk about now. Of course, I use big hook, 10-aught hook, circle hook is my favorite go-to hook when fishing blue cats. Leader line, I'm using a 50-pound monofilament line, and on top of that leader line, right now I'm running a 6-ounce sinker, which some people might think it's a little heavy, but when you're drifting, I like to try and keep my baits hanging straight down at the depth I want it to be, and just have my bait tag behind that weight a little bit. I found that to be my most success. But after the monofilament, I always put a swivel on there, and then I started using these beads. I never used to use beads until I seen somebody on the internet using beads, and I thought, what the heck? But I went out and I looked at my lines, and they were right. If you don't use a bead and this lead weight, when it's popping up and down and hitting that braided line, it wears it. I had a couple of them when I found it. It was pretty wear thin. So I said, you know what? Put some beads on and give it a shot, see what it does, see if it affects the bite. Don't affect the bite, but it sure does protect the knot. That's your what they call a Carolina rig, to my knowledge anyway. Or you could call it the Catfish Roy Special. Okay, I think we'll move on to a dragging rig next. We'll be back. Okay, we're going to go and talk about another one of my slip sinker setups. There's only two that I use, one with heavy weight and one with a much lighter weight. And the reason why I use a much lighter weight is I have these just two poles set up like this. And what I do is I'm using the same style hook, same swivel with the bead, but the weight it's a 1/2 ounce weight. And the reason why I do this is I throw this out, 20 feet down, and then I'll let it go out on a planer board, probably say 100 feet behind the boat. I don't like going any farther than 100 feet. It's usually within 50 to 100 feet, but it swings the bait way outside of my boat. But what's happening is, with this light weight on there, this thing just floats around freely in the water, and I think it looks a whole lot natural to the fish when it's down there. I have great success with this, and it works well. So whenever I'm drifting or pulling baits behind the boat, I'll have two of these out, and it's killer. It does work. You have any questions? Please don't hesitate to let me know. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about a dragging rig. Dragging is a technique I started using just recently, within the last 1.5 years. I wasn't a big fan of it because I kept losing all my stuff. Sinkers kept getting hung up, and I just thought, dragging baits behind a boat just absolutely ridiculous. But I wasn't doing it right. I watched a couple of guys on video. Catfish Dave, you boys ever hear of Catfish Dave? Legendary Catfish Dave. He's probably one of the best out there. If you get a chance, go to Catfish Dave on YouTube and watch his videos. The guy's pretty slick. I like his methods, I like his ideas, and he's old school. But anyway, back to dragging rigs. This is a Catfish Dave special, by the way. This is his rig idea. This is where I learned it. 10-aught hook, circle hook, okay? Hook's still the same, never change your hook. About 10 inches up from that, there's this float. And this, inside this float, there's a rattle. I don't know if you can hear that. Here's a new one. But these rattles are made by Catfish Sumo. You can get these on, I think I got these from Amazon. I'm not 100% sure. But you can see the, and I'm not sponsored by them, by the way. But this is what they look like, okay? Now when you tie it on, put the ball down at the bottom and then hook onto the lip. And it looks just like a fish. You can see there's an eyelet, so you hook it up on the front. And when it's sitting there in the water and thrashing, this one here, you can see it's wore out. I gotta swap it out. It'll do that in the water. It makes a little rattling sound. Whether or not it actually draws fish in, I don't know, but I do catch fish. Up here, same idea, swivel. Put a little bead on there. And then I got this slip connection, or coupling, whatever you want to call it. And it's got this hook on it. It's a snap ring hook. And that's what my weight gets attached to. This is the weight I use. This one here has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 1-ounce weights. I took the weights from an old cast net that I destroyed, and I salvaged the lead weight off of them, and I make these dragon weights. And what's nice about these, when it comes across the bottom, it's on an angle. You just want it to drag the bottom real slow like that. They don't get hung up near as much. I mean, it's very, very rare now that I lose dragon rigs. I mean, I still lose them once in a while, but not often. But this gets hooked up to this slips connection. Man, I should have my glasses on. My eyes ain't as good as they used to be. Alright, there we go. So it goes on like that. And the reason why I use a slip connection on that sinker, if you don't, you put it right on the top of that swivel. When a fish hits this, it's not as sensitive. You won't see your pole. It takes a lot more force to see that light touch if a fish touches it. With that going through that swivel and you're dragging it, it gives that line the ability to move. And you can tell your bite a lot quicker. But that's a dragging rig. Try it. Let me know what you think. It works great. Remember, keep your speed down low as you can. 0.3 seems to be the sweet spot for speed. I've gone a little bit faster. I've gone a little bit slower. I use my trolling motor, and I'll set my trolling motor up to go upstream, and then I'll watch my GPS gauge. I've gone slower already where the boat was hardly moving, but 0.3 miles an hour always seemed to be the sweet spot whenever I started getting hits when they were biting. Give it a shot. Let me know what you think. Until the next time, we'll see you. Okay, that's my fishing tips for today. Tomorrow, we're going to go put it all to work. It's going to be my first time fishing with strawberry chicken. I'm going to probably make a video on how I'm going to tie it onto the hook, because I fish with regular chicken already, and them catfish, they could tear that thing right off in no time at all. So tomorrow I think I'm going to have to get one up on them and tie it fast. But we'll see you on the water tomorrow morning. See ya. Thanks for watching.